Hello there. My name is Megan and this is my cat Shaun White. He is a almost 9-year-old domestic long hair neutered male. We have been working on some clicker training for the past 5 weeks and we're just gonna go over what we've been learning. He was a little bit sick over the weekend, so we're just gonna be using his food as treats today because we don't want to upset his tummy again. So the first thing we learned about was conditioning the clicker. And conditioning the clicker is to train or teach a pet to relate the sound of a clicker with a positive reward. Classical conditioning or associative learning is used when conditioning a clicker. Classical conditioning is a process of associating a neutral stimulus, in this case the clicker, with an involuntary response until the stimulus elicits a response. Food is a primary reinforcer because food is something that an animal needs to survive, so it's something they desire, naturally. And the way we conditioned the clicker was just by clicking and giving a treat. Oh, we can't really see. Here you go, Shaun. And that's what we did. We just clicked and gave him a treat. The next thing that we learned was targeting, and targeting is teaching an animal to touch something with a part of its body. I used operant conditioning to train Shaun to target a wooden dowel, touching the end of his nose with it. I taught him to do this by simply holding out the wooden dowel, and each time he got closer and closer to the stick with his nose, I would click and treat him, and eventually he started just touching his nose to the end of the wooden dowel. And after he was pretty good at touching the stick with the end of his nose, I added the cue word stick. And we'll do a quick demonstration of that really fast. Shaun, stick! Stick! Oop, clicked too fast there. Do it one more time. Stick. Shaun, stick. Good kitty. All right. The next thing that we learned was free shaping. Free shaping is building a new behavior by selectively reinforcing variations in an existing behavior during the behavior rather than after to strengthen or increase the behavior in a specific manner or direction. The behavior that I free shaped with Shaun was going to a place. I started reinforcing a natural behavior like going into like a pet bed or jumping on a chair. And then I would click and treat him when he started to go in closer and closer to the pet bed. After I shaped the behavior going to a place, I added a verbal cue here, and I would point to wherever I wanted him to go. So we'll demonstrate that really fast. Shaun, here. 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 Shaun, here. Shaun, here. The next thing we learned about was husbandry. Husbandry, we chose to train going in and out of the travel carrier using the yin method. I left his carrier out around the house stationary for a few days so he could get used to it just kind of being around and not associate with anything really, just have it stationary. Then I moved it close to his food dish, and over the course of a few days I moved the food dish closer and closer to his pet crate, and then I eventually put his food dish inside, and he would start going inside to eat his food. After he was comfortable with that going inside the carrier, I started to use my free shape behavior here, going to a place, to ask him to go inside. Then I would click and treat him once he was fully inside. To get him to come out, I either just call his name or I use his target stick to ask him to come out. And we'll demonstrate that really quickly. Here. Next, we chose a behavior to learn. I taught Shaun how to sit by holding a treat above his head, and I would wait till his bottom was on the floor, then I would click and treat him. After he got the hang of sitting, I added the cue word sit. I shaped this behavior by naturally catching that sitting motion. When he would sit his bottom on the floor, I would click and treat him. So we'll demonstrate that really quick. Shaun, sit. Come here, Shaun. Come here. Here. No. Come here. Shaun. He loves this pet crate now. Here. Sit. The next behavior we tried to learn was to shake paw or give paw. I tried free shaping the behavior by tapping on his leg when he was sitting in a chair, and every time he would lift his foot a little bit, I would click and treat him. Eventually, I started holding his paw while I was giving him a treat, and he wasn't catching on, so I asked for some advice. And the advice was to hold the treat in my hand and show it to him. And when he would paw my hand for the food, I was supposed to click and treat him, but unfortunately he wouldn't do it. He would just either rub his head on my hand or lick my hand. So we kind of failed to teach that behavior. But instead we just made him a little bit more comfortable to having his paw being held, which I guess is good because he's more comfortable with nail trimming, things like that. So this is what we tried to do. Come here, Shaun. Shaun, sit. Sit. Shaun, sit. 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 Here. Sit. 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 Paw. Paw. So he'll let me hold his hand, and that's about it, but he won't like give me his paw. So he's more comfortable with that. The last thing that we were learning was about desensitization, which is used to extinguish any fear Shaun might have had to being restrained with a towel. I left towels laying around the floor in the house just so they could get used to them, him and my other cat, used to them being around and not associate them with any negative outcomes or experiences. And then I started to leave treats sitting on the towels so they would become classically counter-conditioned to automatically having a positive response to them. He doesn't seem to mind being restrained in a towel. He doesn't bite or scratch or anything like that. He also gets lots of praise and treats after we do a towel restraint, which I'll do another demonstration of that after the video. I was pretty impressed with the training we did with Shaun. I've never trained a cat in my life, and he's a senior cat, so he learned his behaviors pretty well. Thanks for watching. Here, Shaun. Shaun, here. Here. He's all ready for a blood draw. Aren't ya?